Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your man, Sam Hay. Real quick, the way that these podcast algorithms work is that the more reviews you have, the more people you reach. That simple. So help us out. Leave us a review below. Let's get back to the episode. So it's super cool. Obviously, I sent you that video today, that CNN video where the guy in the video, he went and explored around the U.S. for however many days or weeks, whatever it was, and he asked people a very simple...
He asked 1,000 people.
He asked 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. A very simple question, which is, what advice would you give your younger self, right? And people had different answers, but what was most notable was the connection he ended up making with the one guy who had stage 4 cancer, who realized he would have told himself to not focus so much on just work. Like, he had spent so much time just only trying to work and do all these different things that he missed out on actually building like lifelong bonds with people and just experiencing, you know, human connection. And it got us thinking, we spend so much time, and when I say we, I mean a collective we as a people spend so much time either just at work or social media, spending so much time just dealing with media that we forget to even just live life and actually connect with people and to do meaningful things that are cool. Like, we're just going about life and not really having purpose behind it. And I think that that's like really hurting us. What you think?
Yeah, just yesterday I met up with like 4 different people that I haven't actually met up with in a long time, where we actually sat down and caught up or just discussed life overall. Mm-hmm. And every time I do these meetups with people, there's a different experience in it that I feel increases my quality of life. I just feel way more energetic. My mind feels more fresh, and I feel more invigorated towards whatever I want to do. And I think it's very important have those interactions, because a lot of those people that I meet up with, yes, we are friends on social media. We kind of keep up with what we do on the stories and shit like that, but the connection isn't really there until we actually meet in person and we actually invest time to have real conversation. Now you're just like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. Okay, bye. Like, actually, hey, let's sit down for 30 minutes to an hour and really just talk about random stuff. And those random stuff tends to be more deep conversations, not just superficial conversations. It's like one person we were talking about, he's a day trader. He's talking about how he doesn't know any other day traders in his area, so he's feeling that he has no one he could lean on to kind of like share his struggles with, where people could understand. And we were talking about how what I do to look for people, the 4 F's that we discussed: faith, family, friendship, fitness, and finance. And so we talked about that, and he started looking into that. And then another person was talking about volunteering, being part of on the board for nonprofit organizations that actually help build schools for people who have no money, or or live in rural villages in Nepali, where they were hurt by earthquake and really they have no money to do anything, stuff like that. And so these are more serious conversations that I feel that we don't really do as much online or anything.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if everybody knows me, and I know that this is not everybody knows me, but everybody who does know me, excuse me, you know, like, we can chat it up, we can be on the phone, we can text and everything, but once I'm with you in person, it's like you get a way deeper level of me, right? Because there's not so much that I can text is only text, you know. I can't really share all of me. We can misinterpret things. It's gonna be too long to type. But then, like, when we're in person, that's when we get to actually, I've talked about this on previous episodes, experience each other through the other senses, right? Because it's more than just words, right? And so I agree. Like, sometimes I actually get bothered, no offense, mom, but like when my mom or any other family members ask for like, oh yeah, can you send us pictures of this and pictures of that? And they just want pictures. And it's not because I don't want to take pictures, but it's like I don't want to spend my entire time while I'm doing cool things, right? Like whether I'm at like my wife's ballroom dance event, or if I'm going on a trip somewhere and I'm connecting with people, or I'm at an event or whatever it is, I don't want to spend all of my time just like only on social media posting and doing these different things just for the likes, because then I feel like I'm not actually getting the full experience that I could be getting. And so I think that because of the social media era, like a lot of us get caught up into that trap as opposed to actually appreciating the moment fully. Like we end up looking back at photos like, oh yeah, that was a cool time to do it. But then like the conversation doesn't really go any deeper because you're not actually being able to reflect on how it felt. Like, oh man, remember when we did this? Oh man, like nah, because you spent most of the time just watching the event through the phone. And so I think that like those are like key things that we got to do. My uncle, he used to always tell me, he was like, hey Sam, make sure you control your phone, don't let your phone control you. It was so funny when he would say it to me because I was like,
saying, yeah,
it's a good saying. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not letting it. He's like, no, you keep picking it up. I'm like, so we got to get back to like when we're having conversations with people, like put the phone down, maybe put it on do not disturb, put it on vibrate, put it whatever. Like let's actually connect with people and you'll actually be able to grow personally is what I've experienced.
Yeah. And like it's funny you were talking about like concerts and stuff. I was just recently at a concert just 2 days ago, and my right ear is still ringing because heavy metal concerts. Let's go. Anyway, yeah, we would bust out our phones a lot, but in those instances, I also started like what I've done a lot in other events. Sorry, I kind of was stuttering there. What I've done with a lot of other events is when I want to document what's going on, I don't post it right then and there. It's just, hey, I'm going to shoot this on the camera real quick. Phone goes away so I can experience it more. And then after the fact, I'll do the posting. And that's something I've learned of in the marketing or branding side of things on social media, because a lot of us do use social media for work. It's how we get a lot of our customers. It's how we actually promote ourselves. So I see the significance of it. Mm-hmm. But like your uncle said, was it your uncle that said it? Yeah. Like your uncle said, don't let the phone control you. You want to control it. So if I'm always on social media and it's just because I want to scroll through, I'm not in control. However, if I say, okay, I need to market what I'm doing, my interests, then that's where it's like, all right, I'm just going to shoot what I got to shoot, record it, and then I'll post it later on, which will take me no more than maybe 8 minutes of my life for like 5 different posts. And then in that instance, it's like, okay, cool. I'm interacting on social media, but I was also able to get as much experience of the actual concert, right? I caught myself too. Like there are times when there's gonna be mosh pitting, and I want to record it because I'm like, I want to show people what mosh pit looks like because everyone thinks it's so bad. And I'm like, yeah, there's aggression, but we still protect each other, the whole concert etiquette. But I'm like, well, if I'm recording, I don't really get to mosh as much as I want to mosh. And,
I mean, won't you lose your phone?
No, I've gone in there and I never lost my phone. But the thing is, so here's a fun fact about metal concerts. I never see a metal concert where people are not taking care of each other. If someone falls over, everyone around that person makes a circle. Hey, pick them up. If someone dropped their phone and it's pitch black, everyone takes out their phone and turns on their flashlights to look for it. Hey, I found a phone. Oh, that's mine. Boom. And 2 cell phones were lost and found at that metal concert I was at. 1 wallet was lost and found at that metal concert.
Nice.
And multiple shoes and hats were lost and found. Like people at the end of the concert when everyone's leaving, like, hey, whose shoe is this? People actually do kind of take care of each other in the metal scene. And that's an example of people actually like really invested in taking care of each other, interacting with each other, instead of just trying to like look cool for the camera to be on social media. They're just doing it in real life, and they don't need to show it off.
Yeah, when you were saying that, it actually reminded me of like different cultures, because I know like where I grew up in New York City, like it wasn't a guarantee that something was going to get returned to you. Whereas like when I was in the military and I started to go overseas, and everybody would share like different things about their different overseas experiences. Like you got places like in Japan, like where people will chase you down. You left your wallet, like, hey, here's your hey, like you're like, it'll follow you for like a whole mile, like, hey, I had to return this to you. And I think that's like one of the things that I loved about that experiment from the video, was that the guy actually went around. I don't think he went out of country. I believe he only stayed in the U.S. But
yeah, he hit all 48 states in the North America.
The continent. Continent. Yeah, the continent. Yeah. So probably not Alaska and Hawaii, but
yeah, none of those.
Yeah, but what I thought was cool about it was that he went around. Just like for me, like when I've gone around to just different places, different countries, things like that, I always take something new like away. And like when I meet different people, I'm able to like actually pick their brain. And it's not something that I ever really see on media. That's what I've noticed. It's never something I experienced on social media, like to the point like where a lot of you guys, like, you know, I have like a bunch of suits. I get them like custom made, and I reached out to my tailor the other day. He's in Bahrain, right? And he was just recently in Indonesia, and I hit him up. I was like, hey man, long time no speak. You know, hopefully like he recognized the number and everything. And I was like, hey, it's me or whatever. But he hit me back. He was like, bro, I remember. And he started saying a whole bunch of different things, references from years ago. And the reason why I think that it's so cool that he was bringing up these references is because it was during times that we were just connecting. Like, he's not American, I'm not Indonesian, I'm not Bahraini, but just being able to see that the human experience is like more similar than it is different, that had a huge impact on me. And we were just able to laugh it up about a whole bunch of different things while still respecting each other's differences. And I think that that's something that doesn't get paid attention to too much when people are only living through like the media, you know?
Yeah, and an example of only living through media, for, like, I've gone to dance events, other events, and whenever we're trying to make sure that we get cool photos or videos throughout the whole thing, we realize, like, man, I don't even remember what we did that day, because we weren't really experiencing.
Yeah.
We were too busy curating and creating, versus documenting, right? And that's where this whole new thing of blogging, I think it actually messes up a lot of other people, because I know some creators, like actual user generated content, where big brands like T-Mobile brands will pay them for stuff to create content, and they're like, yeah man, if I do this event and I have to create video, I don't actually get to experience it because I'm working, and like, I don't even remember what I do. The only time I do remember is when I'm actually editing the video, and I only know what's in the video. I don't remember anything else outside of the video. And those conversations right there is like, oh yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because you, like, for example, one of my friends, him and his wife, they did a cross-country tour with a bus. This was sponsored by a brand, a nationwide brand that everyone recognizes and sees on commercials all the time. And they had to do that tour. And you would think, all right, doing a cross-country tour would be fun. You're driving, you're with your wife and your dog. There's got to be some type of experience for this. Where in fact they were just saying they were very tired, always having to record, always trying to be high energy for the video, and then having to edit it and then continue driving. Jeez. And so there was so much going on that they didn't really experience as much as they could have, right, if they weren't creating videos, if they weren't being content creators. And but they do say, like, it was an experience to actually be paid for that kind of a content. Yeah. That's a goal for a lot of content creators, is to do stuff like that. But I think there's also a weird instance where you have to figure out what's the cost benefit analysis of living and experiencing versus getting paid.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem, and I think creates a way to be innovative to create a solution, because it's like, then I go into problem solving mode. I'm like, all right, I'm a content creator, but and you know, I want to be able to experience this though fully. So maybe I invest in technology, like, I don't know, like maybe there's like body cameras and things like that, where I can have that going on for me while I'm still living the experience, or actually have someone who doesn't necessarily care about living this experience, but they have the time that they can just devote to, you know, filming it all or something like that. I think that, like, those are the different things that we might have to start thinking about, because I've thought about that before. I was like, yo, maybe I should just have somebody follow me around and like, you know, so that I can still experience it, and then everybody else can also experience it. Because I think it kind of sucks. Like, I've actually done that before, like where I've sat at, maybe it was like a basketball game or something like that, where I'm like recording so that other people could be able to see it. You know, they're like, oh man, that was cool. Like, you know, let me see this. And then it's like, man, I'm like living for you rather than living for me. And you know, I'm not even getting paid to live for you. Like, what's going on? And so I think that just being able to try to find that balance is like super essential. Yeah.
What's going on, you guys? I got to interrupt this episode because there's a lot of value that me and Sam are sharing. But the thing is, we don't have enough people leaving their reviews, letting us know how we could help them. So can you do me a favor? Spend 10 seconds, leave us a 5-star review, and review us. Tell us what value we're giving to you. I'm so amped up, I didn't even say that right, but you know what I mean. So take 10 seconds, do that for me real quick, and let's get back to the episode. it's easier when you get into the mindset of just documenting what you're doing versus trying to create something out of nothing. So, for example, if you go to your wife's dance events, you could just document that, and that's already an entertaining and educational experience for whoever's watching it.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're like, I've never been to a barroom like this. I don't know where you sit. I thought everyone had to be all suited and booted. You may be suited because you like to show out, but maybe there's more casual people, and they're like, oh, all right. Everyone could kind of dress up however they want to go.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. But there's still people who do that.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's accepted in those events, but it's like we would rather prefer everyone's dressed up, but you could still do it. Yeah. That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Like that's the education aspect. Or like, oh wow, look at all these dancers. Like you don't have to hire dancers when you go to these dance events to record them. You could just go to these events and then record them, right? And some of my best content that I put out, I went to teach somewhere and I just asked them, hey, like every now and then throughout the lesson, can you just record for about 10 or 15 seconds? And so they don't have to like be my personal video person the entire time. It's just every 10, 15 seconds, just go ahead and record, and I appreciate it. And then I just repost it, and people like it because it's authentic. It's right there when I'm in action, and it's also showing proof that I know what I'm doing. And so that's the aspect of documenting. I think that's a balancing aspect. If we really get technical,
yeah, it's
pretty much what's called a shot list. So hey, I'm with this camera that I got, hold the camera this way and try and get videos or photos of me when I'm doing stuff like this. Yeah. And then only shoot at, in my instance of that example, is like, hey, just shoot for at least 10 to 15 seconds, so there's enough video for me to kind of edit and choose what I want to do. So that's a recommended shot list that you could use, which a lot of people use when they hire photographers and videographers. And so that's a tactic right there. If you're doing something and you don't want to be the one recording yourself, just tell people, this is what I'm looking for, if you could help me out.
That's a good hack. Yeah. Wait, were you still going?
I was about to go to a different thing of now the most important thing is I can't ask people to do those recordings for me if I'm not doing shit. Like if I'm not teaching a lesson, if I'm not dancing, if I'm not doing a presentation, what is there to record?
Maybe they're just catching you staring at a view.
Exactly. And I think that's where people try to create something, because they're like, I don't really do anything, but I want people to think I do something, so I need to create something. Versus I actually go out to these events, I actually go teach, or I actually go dance. And that's something you could just document. I'm doing what's cool for me. Now, for other people who may think, oh, I'm not athletic, I'm not dancing, or whatever, there's something that you do or that you care about that is entertaining and interesting for other people. Whether your hobby is knitting, or whether your hobby is reading books, whether your hobby is watching TV shows and reacting to them. Like, there are so many different things. It's just finding what is real to you, authentic, and you just document that experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do also agree with just the simplicity of just recording. Like, let's just say you're like staring at like a beautiful natural sight or something like that, and like so for example, I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine. And he was like, some of us don't really think hiking is cool and this and that is cool. Like, some of us just be like, no, I'm not doing that. And like, unless you've actually experienced that experience and being out in the nature and been able to see like beautiful sights, you may not fully appreciate it. But when you actually do it, you might be like, oh wow. Or if you actually see it, someone doing it, you might be like, oh, you know what, that does look cooler than what I thought it would have been. For some reason I had some misconception in my head. I think that there's value in that, just being able to see possibilities.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
So I won't make a blanket statement of just document what you're doing. Sometimes just the simple of this is what is pretty cool as well. But I think that what you were saying, it was sound, the whole documenting, and it makes it way more authentic. And then also it makes it way more realistic for people to understand what is achievable. So what I mean by that is, what we see on social media oftentimes is manufactured just for the likes, right? And people obsess over different things that it's just not very real. It's a facade. It's meant for you to think different things, right? But then when you're documenting, like you were saying, it may have even captured a mistake or just a human experience, right? That now someone actually can connect to more because they're like, yo, I just finished doing that same thing the other day. And I think that that's something that is very valuable with the whole documenting versus just curating content just for the likes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, so I've definitely spent a lot of time on TikTok and Instagram Reels where I'm like, oh, this is a skit. Like, you're trying to act as if you're having a real world experience, but this is obviously a skit. And it's like as soon as I identify that you're a fake account, I lose interest. And then this is also something I learned about. All the famous people we know, they're famous because they're doing cool stuff and someone's recording it and showing it off for them. They're PR people. They are just documenting what they're doing. If you're a professional athlete, you're not trying to record yourself while you're playing the game. You're playing the game and then people are documenting it for you. That's how you got famous. And so I think it's better to think about it that way. Like, hey, if I'm a dancer, my game is dancing. And then the people who are recording me and stuff like that, maybe I could reach out to them to get a copy of the video, or I know they're going to tag me, work the PR angle for it. And now it's like, it's almost, you don't have to worry about creating content at all because someone else will document it for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just to go back to
sorry, I'm getting on a lot of tactical shit.
No, I get you. And I think that if you're someone who's working that angle of hey, you want to have your social media pop in, great. You know what I mean? And, there's some people who won't have that. There's some people who are just living simple lives who don't really document on social media, but they do spend a lot of time on social media. And I think that for them, I would just beware of just living life through social media, which is the biggest thing that I think people should really take away is, we're meant to do more than just scroll. We're meant to actually go out, connect with other people, experience life through the 5 senses or whatever else you want to say. And, that's what makes life worth living, because other than that, what are you doing it for, really?
I don't know. I really don't know. And I like that you brought that up because I think a lot of the marketing and business side of social media, I tend to always just talk about how to use it for ourselves. But yeah, dude, if I find myself scrolling on it nonstop for hours, I stop, I'm like, I just wasted my entire day on brainless activity. What did I do? Nothing. And then I end up regretting myself. It's oh, I could have used this time to go outside for a walk. Mm-hmm. That actually has a lot more benefits statistically and through research and health and wellness and stuff than just being on social media. Social media is proven to be an addiction. It's proven to take away and to kind of feed it's an addiction towards a lot of negative emotions and stuff. There's so much evidence of that, but we still are on it. Yep. Or for the most part, a lot of us are. I will admit I am on it a lot. And when I remember during Christmas time, I took off Facebook, Instagram, TikTok off of my phone for about 2 weeks. And this is how much of an addiction it was. I would reach my phone to pull them up, those apps, but they weren't even on my phone. I would just pull it up because it was a muscle memory. Yeah. It was my natural response when I had nothing to do. I'm going to pull out my phone and get on Instagram real quick. And I was like, oh, wow, this is bad. This is a straight up addiction that I am trying to get to something that's not on my phone anymore. And so I guarantee you there's a lot of people who are going to be having some type of similar experience if they did that themselves.
Did you have withdrawals?
Yeah, because I was looking, because I conditioned myself not to be bored.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's and the thing is, we all know this. When you raise a child, you gotta let them be bored and figure out how to do stuff on their own. Same with a dog. You gotta leave dogs when they're puppies. You gotta leave them on their own for a little bit so they could kind of entertain themselves, so that they know that when you leave the house later on, they're not gonna go crazy. It's the whole you need to let people be bored, and they'll entertain themselves in their head somehow.
That sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, but is it? Do you disagree with that, or what do you mean?
I don't necessarily disagree with it. But I would probably me personally, I would probably rephrase it to so that people can understand what to do, how to go about doing something that's more constructive with their time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's entertainment value or whether it's getting them further towards an end goal that they said they had, whatever the case is, just learning how to use that extra time that they were previously filling with social media that was giving them nothing other than a temporary rush. How do you fill your time with something that's going to push you further ahead in life? What's going to make you better? And it doesn't mean that you have to always be doing something hard and rigorous. You need rest and relaxation and entertainment and all that stuff too. But it's just not being dependent on social media as a fix in the times that you have an open window. I think that that's really the key point. And I think using that time to build that human connection, because we talked about oh yeah, you should do that, but I think some of the benefits should be discussed about the whole human experience. Well, one, when you connect with other people, that obviously lowers anxiety, depression, right? There's stress relief behind that because you're able to connect with someone else who's going through a similar human experience. So not feeling like you're alone in something doesn't lead you to actually saying, oh, well, I'm alone in this, let me end it all, right? So you have that. Maybe you can do physical activity together. Maybe you need an accountability partner. You wouldn't have done it without having someone else to lean on. And so, that in and of itself can help you to get the exercise that you needed, maybe to diet better, that extra push. So now you're living a life of wellness that gives you a life of longevity and fulfillment, all those different things. And I think that all comes from being able to experience the human connection fully and not just being on your phone with social media. I think that that's what you should take away, is that human connection is going to benefit your life overall in anything that you're trying to pursue.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll leave it with one of your favorite sayings that you said a long time ago, is that success is a collaborative effort. And so if we want to be successful human beings, and with whatever goals we have, we need to be able to collaborate.
There it is. If you got great value out of this content, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss any more of it, and share this with someone else who needs to experience the human connection fully. But actually have the conversation with them in person about it. Not just over.
You ever notice how many run-on sentences we have? I'm gonna keep all this. Just do the ending real quick. I'm gonna keep all of this.
No, seriously. I was gonna literally end with that, because I was like, you know what? Share it with someone else, but that could be on social media. So how about you also discuss it with that person in person?
All right, fair enough. But wrap it up, bro.
No, let's wrap it up.
I'm keeping all of this.
Yeah,
this is
that's
awesome.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. We value you so much. And until next time, Mindset Rebooted. Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right and you still go with it, then that is on you.